Alright, so we're here about a week out from the All-Star break. Texas Rangers just defeated the Padres 7-4. And so we're just going to get into, what the Rangers did today and what I want to see them do going forward with the last game of the Padres series being tomorrow and then continuing the road trip to Anaheim and finishing it up in Houston. And then the All-Star break, of course, is here. So starting off with the Padres game today, I have the highlights going on in the background. Great offensive performance today, 7 runs. The offense looking to have a little bit more of a spark, and, we want to say that definitively, but, then there's games like yesterday where they only put up 2 and don't capitalize on all the opportunities. Today, Higashioka played very well today, 3 for 3, 5 RBIs, a stolen base. Something we've been missing from him, we saw today some power off the bat with a home run. Josh Smith continues to play amazing overall the season. Been a great surprise the last couple of years, 2024, 2025. Been a bright spot in a couple of mediocre Ranger seasons. Seager, Simeon, the infield today did not have a great game. We have seen them heat up overall in June, and we're hoping that continues into July. Adolis 1 for 5, still lacking a bit of power, but he's getting back into the swing. Carter, as well, has been playing really good this season. We saw him kind of not great last year, but this season he's been playing really good, competitive at bats, putting the ball in play and using his speed to his advantage. Jake Burger, great player today, hoping he could stay hot because he was heating up before he got hurt, and today he looked hot. He's getting back into form here, and Jonah Heim even got a hit. Both of our catchers been lacking at the plate. Today they did not. Today they looked very well. Langford back, he's getting back into the swing of things, 1 for 3 today. So, overall, great offensive performance, and, that's what we want to see more of today. Corbin, another great, bright spot on this team. The Rangers have never been known for their great pitching. This year has kind of flipped the narrative on that. You have your 2 bright spots, Jacob deGrom and Nate Eovaldi, who have both, given us everything they can this year and have excelled great. But then you have pitchers like Corbin who have surprised. He's not, the strikeout machine. He's not the ERA super low. He's there. He's a great arm. He has a 4.18 ERA across 16 starts. So just a great arm to have on the mound, someone to need, and that's what the Rangers got out of him today, 2 earned runs. So, not much more you can ask from Corbin. Tomorrow, Leader's pitching for us, so hoping he continues to be a good arm in, the rotation that we've made this year. And, yeah, just an overall amazing game. Josh Young still down in the minor leagues. The bullpen struggled today. 7-4 was the score. It was a lot closer than, that score says, especially in that 9th inning. Robert Garcia goes in and proceeds to get 3 on base. He did get 2 outs though, so that was good. Sean Armstrong comes in to get the save for today. Just never easy with Robert Garcia. It seems like he always finds a way to, score runs, especially his inherited runs. I feel always end up scoring. So, but still been a bright spot even. 2.86 ERA. It has risen since the beginning of the season, but still a bright spot. Pitching still is great. Even the bullpen struggled a little bit, but really the lackluster spot on the team has been the offense. Started off the season, negative run differential for a lot of it. Finally coming into our own here, though. So, hopefully that continues. Josh Smith, first pitch home run today. Like I said, he's been a bright spot on this team, hitting for average with a little pop in his bat. Someone we need. If that infield continues to be hot, and I'm talking about Seager and Simeon, those guys we paid to be the leaders and the captains of this team, if they continue to stay hot, I feel the team is good around them. The lineup we trotted out today seems, seems to be probably, I don't want to say, we're missing some guys in there, but seems to be the best iteration of it. Maybe some guys can rise or go down a bit, but, we have Josh Smith leading off, Corey Seager at 2. I really like that. Josh Smith gets on base, Corey Seager hits for power, especially when he's hot. Simeon at 3rd, Adolis at 4th, great back-to-back when they're hot. Carter, Langford going back-to-back, 2 rookies who are very streaky. Carter's been really good, but Langford has been a bit streaky this year. And then finishing off the order with Heim, Berger, and Higgy. Berger's really been the best one at the bottom of the order, and we're still missing Jock Peterson, which I know is kind of a weird thing to say we're missing, since he was not great, but he was starting to heat up towards the end before he, broke his wrist. Coming back to the Rangers soon, John Gray, who we are not, the rotation isn't missing him. Maybe you can get him in for rocker or leader or, one of those guys, but he could come in the bullpen, be a potential closer for the Rangers. Paying him about, I want to say we're paying him $13 million. Rangers lost Molly for the season a couple days ago, and Cody Bradford got shut down. So we are missing some of our arms. But Cody Bradford hasn't been there for the team. We saw him last year have a couple electric starts to start the season, but since that, he just hasn't been available. So, are we really missing him if he hasn't been there? But yeah, John Gray should start his rehab in the coming days, and he should be coming back. But I'll tell you, the rotation right now, Patrick Corbin and Jack Leader, I think, and Kumar Rocker are all good arms. Kumar Rocker's probably been the most shaky one, starting off the year with like an 8 ERA. And then you have Nate Eovaldi and Jacob deGrom, who are double aces, And it's weird because Texas Rangers never been known for the great pitching, but now all of a sudden we have the pitching, we just don't have the offense, which is unheard of for the Rangers. Take it back to 2023 where we averaged 4.7 runs at home. So just hoping to get back to that. Don't wanna flame out here, especially we want to take advantage of this great pitching that we have. We're not a team who has great pitching most of the time, and we have it right now. So hopefully the team, can heat up, stay hot. We've had a couple good offensive appearances in the last couple games, so hopefully it could stay like that. And yeah, I'm hoping this road trip is going to be big for the Rangers. Let's say we win the series against the Padres tomorrow. That puts us right at 500. So it's not like we're dead in the water yet. It's felt like that. But we've won every series except for the Mariners in our last 5 series. So we're winning games. We just got to keep winning games. Our run, we're scoring more runs. And that's all we really need. We need more runs. We need maybe an arm in the bullpen. A closer. We need a true closer. Chris Martin looked to be the closer for a bit, but he's hurt and he's a little wishy-washy on the mound. He's great stuff, no doubt. So when he's on, but they don't put him in too much. And so, we're hoping Robert Garcia could go in, and he is not doing too great in the closer role. Sitting at a 2.86 ERA seems great, but numbers aren't everything. You watch those games, and I'm telling you, today he ended up with 0 earned runs. He loaded those bases with 2 outs, and so that's when Sean Armstrong had to come in and close the game out, and he had a rocky start. So we're hoping, he was the closer for a little bit, and he was not great, but now he's looking a little better. So hopefully, we can get a decent closer. If we decide to sell, then, there won't be a decent closer coming in. We'll end up having a, one of just rocking with what we got, or, less. I'll be surprised if Corbin stays on the team. Molly, I would have been surprised, but he's hurt, so he's probably going to stay on the team. Josh Young down in AAA, I've been hearing some buzz about his trade value going up, and so, you know, we'll see what we can get for these guys, or if we have a great road trip. Again, I see if we win the Padres here tomorrow, we win 3 against the Angels and 1 or 2 against the Astros, we're sitting there, with a good 4 games up from 500, 3 or 4 games up from 500. We might be sellers. We might try to make a push for the postseason. So we'll see. And if unfortunately, if the road trip goes south, the Astros look really good. They're hot. So we lose the Astros series, 2, or we get swept. We go tie. We win 1 against the Angels, and we lose tomorrow against the Padres. And I could really see the Rangers selling some of these overachieving arms they have. And I'm talking, a bunch of them. Corbin could be gone. A couple guys in the bullpen who are doing well. Young could be gone. So a couple guys we got, might be on different teams in a couple weeks, unless this road trip goes well. I can also see the Rangers doing a little bit of both, a little double dinking, selling and buying. Get rid of some of those overachievers and, just hope we can come back to form. But I'm not sure how that's going to look, for the Rangers. And so I'm just hoping, the Rangers stay hot, stay focused. Don't get too bought into the hype, because we don't want to overbuy, and end up with a team that, is over the luxury tax for paying a premium to have a team that's sitting around 500. And I know right now we're sitting 44, 45. There's still time to make a push, but this road trip is huge for the Rangers. We'll take it back to last year. Last year we were dead. We were looking dead at this point in the year. But if we go back to 2023, we were sitting right around 500, and we bought big. We brought in Max Scherzer for a huge prospect. We brought in Chapman, and so those are pieces that helped us get that World Series ring. But the only thing is we had a really hot July. We had a bunch of All-Stars. This year I'm not sure we have one All-Star starter. So hopefully the Rangers can get something together, and hopefully, the team starts coming into form. We start seeing more offense, especially. Usually I'm used to being mad about the Rangers pitching, blowing games, But I would say the best part of the team right now is definitely the starting rotation. The Rangers do lack a lot of depth, so we could get some cheap depth pieces. But I'm telling you, we saw the lineups we were, trotting out the last couple days when Langford, Berger, Peterson were all out. Carter was out. So when we didn't have those 4 guys, and we were, walking in Hellman, we had Kevin Pillar getting games for us. We had Osuna coming in, Fouché, which are prospects for us and top prospects in the Rangers camp. But right now their bats are not there. Osuna was okay defensively. He made some good plays. His arm was a bit inaccurate. So, we get these guys back and the offense looks a little better. I would say, as of now, this is the lineup we should be rocking with if we have these guys. And I'm telling you, the injury bug has really affected this team's lineup a little bit. It hasn't been a huge deal, but Berger getting hurt, he's a decent value. The big Wyatt gets hurt quite a bit. That lat is always bothering him, that oblique. Seager, he's staying healthy-ish. He's gonna hurt a little bit. So these guys can stay healthy. We can, try to win some games. And I always say, don't get too caught up in the stat sheets. Stat sheets aren't gonna tell it all, but they are a helpful tool. But yeah, never get caught up in the stat sheets. Don't use the stats to buy the hype. There'll be a lot of people telling you that, oh, look at the exit velocity, look at the expected batting average. And I say, yes, that's good metrics for some things, maybe a smaller sample size. We're looking at it across the season. If the ball isn't landing in play, or we're not getting runs, it's not, important to the team, you know. But yeah, so today we had good performances from Josh Smith, 1 for 3, but he scored a run, that's great. Higgy, of course, player of the game probably for the Rangers. He single, double, and a homer, triple away from the cycle, stole a base, you know. Adoli's bringing in a run. So hopefully the Rangers can keep it where we're at. We're not a great away team. We're 18-26 on the road, hoping to win the series tomorrow, and I'm really hoping we win a series against the Angels. I splitting the series wouldn't be the worst case, but then you got to go into Houston and hope, for a series win, which is going to be tough. I'm not saying the Rangers can't do it, but Houston's very hot. They just beat the Dodgers 18-1. They beat them again today 6-4. So, hoping the Rangers can get it done against all these teams, but we'll see how it goes. Like I said, best lineup we've tried it out all season. The pitchers today, Corbin, he had 6 hits across 6 innings pitched, a walk, 3 strikeouts, and 2 earned runs. That's perfect. That's what you need from a guy like Corbin. Then we had Luke Jackson go in. He gave up 2 runs, and he had no innings pitched. He went in there, loaded the bases, got taken out. Hobie Milner went in, and I think 2 sac flies, and he gets us out of the inning. Chris Martin goes in. He pitches .2 innings, gets a K. So he finishes off Milner's second inning of work. Garcia comes in. He pitches .2, gets 2 Ks, walks a guy, 2 singles. And so Sean Armstrong has to come in and close out that .1. And I'm telling you, it could be from the fact that this bullpen isn't rested up. But, I really hope, no more extra inning games, no more extra inning losses. That was a tough stretch of games, We went to extras every game with the Mariners, then we went to extras with the Orioles, and then, extras with the Padres yesterday. That bullpen's definitely getting their work in. And it's a bullpen that's, shaky. They're guys that aren't always successful with other teams, and they're overperforming. Frankly, all of our pitchers are overperforming with the Rangers, except for maybe you could say Eovaldi and DeGrom. And I would still say they're overperforming. DeGrom, he's an injury-prone guy, but he's playing amazing baseball for the Rangers right now. And so hopefully he keeps pitching how he is. A little less velo, but still he has that amazing stuff, and that's what we need from him. Higgy, hopefully this is a confidence booster for him. He continues to, have some pop in his bat. We really have been lacking the pop in our bats. If you look at the Rangers, that 2023 team, they would hit home runs every game. You had guys like Corey Seager hit 30, Adoli's hit 30. So hopefully, I don't see that happening. I'm telling you, if we sell, I think you could see Adoli's gone. I think you could see Young gone. I think you could see a bunch of these guys just gone. And it'll be time for a reset at every position. Catcher probably needs a reset in the coming years. Some of the corner infielders, right field, and that's if the road trip goes bad. That's when the reset will probably start. And so hopefully the Rangers can get back to form and start winning some games. I'd really like to see a postseason push, but it depends on this road trip. Anyway, thanks for listening. Bye-bye.